Welcome back, brothers, to another series with the STI. Today, I know you guys have been looking for this video for a while and been asking about it. So today I'm finally filming the review video for the coilovers. The Godspeed Mono SS's is the ones that I have on the car. So I'm gonna do a review, do some driving, show you and tell you what I think about them. So let's get after it. So I've been driving these coilovers for about a year and a half now. So I definitely have some seat time with these, and I definitely have plenty of miles on it to prove whether they're worth it or not. These things are actually holding up really well. I'm impressed with how they held up, how they feel on the road, and the overall abuse, because I like to drive my car hard. On in mind to beat this car up. I like to drive hard, I like to go fast, I want to track this car. I'm definitely putting these coilovers through the paces to see how good and well they hold up. And to be honest, there's no leaks, they still function, they feel just as good as they did from day one. I have no complaints as far as functionality with quality of not breaking apart and making sure that they still function the way they did from day one, especially the way that I drive it. You figure you come out of the box, you're looking at the quality of what it looks like. The quality and the visual appeal of it, I love it. Other than the fact that, you know, they're pink. Some people hate pink. But, you know, you're not really going to see the color of the coilovers once it's on the car. It's more of just going to be the driver feel. But I like the way they looked out of the box. The quality was good. Everything moved really nicely. The assembly, as far as pulling it on and off. And I'll put the videos of the install and some of the adjustment with the new wheels. As far as the install went, the install was really smooth. Everything fit as stock. There was nothing out of the ordinary. There's no fabricating or manipulating of the original suspension to make it fit. Everything was well designed. It was definitely put together nicely. And the manufacturing quality was on point with the way that it fit with the original stuff. The only thing with the aftermarket is the holes are not as tight with the strut mount, where it actually attaches to the knuckle. The holes were a little bit bigger, so you definitely have a little bit of play that you need to be aware of. So naturally you're going to get an alignment right after you do the coilovers anyway, but if you're looking to just throw it on and send it and not worry about an alignment, then you're definitely going to be mistaken on that part. One thing I really like about these coilovers as well is they have the camber plates on top, so they give you that camber adjustment. Camber plates on top for the fronts. They don't have them for the rear, but they do have them for the fronts, which is sweet. And they do have the 16-way adjustable shock for compression and rebound. So it's really easy. You can get in on the holes. They're not covered by any plate or anything, making it difficult to actually adjust it. They slide really nicely. I haven't adjusted them since I had it on the car, so I don't know if at this point it would be a hassle. But just going together for the first time, everything was silky smooth. It worked exactly the way that I wanted it to. And I was very happy with the install overall. And also with the adjustment with the provided wrenches, those fit really nicely. They fit onto the collars really nicely. They moved up and down really nicely. One thing I always do when installing coilovers, I make sure that I put Antiseize on the threads. They all got the Antiseize on them. It looks like I got a little poop on them. Not a big deal, you know, the road will look worse anyway once we get dirt from the road. So if I'm ever going back after it later to adjust it, the threads don't get cluttered with dirt and grime from the road, because it's inevitable that they're definitely gonna get a lot of dirt in the threads. So if you put some Antiseize on the threads, it definitely makes it a lot nicer when you go back going to adjustment. And that was one thing I was really impressed with too. I went and adjusted, because I got new wheels, they were 19s instead of 17s. So I had to raise the car quite a bit to get them to fit. My wheel choice was a little, or more, my tire choice was a little bigger than I needed it to be, or bigger than I wanted it to be. I think I got my tire size wrong, because it's on the ground and they are rubbing hard. But it worked out really nicely that I was able to lift it, and it was easy to adjust. Nothing was jammed up. It did worked exactly the way that I would expect it to, being able to wheel the suspension up and down for ride height to adjust, especially for the snow. If you guys are, Virginia or more north, you're going to get a lot of snow, so in the wintertime, it's a good idea to raise it up so you're not getting stuck in the snow. But let's be honest, this thing's huge. I'm ready to go off-roading right now. I really like the adjustment ability with this thing and how nice it was. Another thing is the company has some pretty excellent customer support. I went and did some hard driving, getting crazy out there in the snow, and I actually ended up wrecking the car. I hit it in the rear end, it cracked my wheel, it bent my control arm, and it actually bent the lower mount on the strut itself. So naturally I'm sitting here, I gotta get a whole new strut. This is gonna cost me millions of dollars, or a bunch of money, buy a whole new set. But it was actually really nice. They had really good support. I was talking to the company and they had just the lower mounts, or really I could get all the pieces individually from Godspeed to replace the parts that were bad, which I was really impressed. Being more of a cost-efficient strut, I thought, or a cost-efficient coilover, I thought it was gonna be, there wasn't gonna be the support that I wanted, and I thought I was gonna have to buy new coilovers, but it was really nice that they actually had all the package items. I could get everything individually that I needed for whatever was bad on the car. I was able to get those lower strut mounts. Now I couldn't get one, I had to get a pair for the rear. So I wasn't able to get just one individual piece, but I think for both of them, it was around $200 for both lowers. Now I have one for the other side if I ever need it. Hopefully I won't need it because that means I wrecked it to something else, but it's all part of the fun, all part of the game when you're getting out there and driving with the thing. And with every good product, there's always some cons, some not so good stuff, especially when you're going after a cheaper coilover instead of cream of the creme doing BC coilovers, you know how it is. So one thing I definitely don't like about these coilovers is when you're at a stoplight, or not necessarily at a stoplight, but when you're going slow and you hit the brakes, you can feel it bouncing around a lot. It's really kind of jerky and it moves a lot. It doesn't feel very smooth or stable. Now, I know with a tighter suspension you'll feel more of that, but I think that because of it being a cheaper coilover, it really doesn't have that stability that you would expect with a better coilover. It doesn't settle as fast as you'd like it to. So that's definitely something that's a little displeasing. Another thing as far as the ride quality, you have that adjustable setting on the coilover, but to be honest, I don't feel a difference between all the way soft and all the way hard. I don't think there's a very good valving system on these that give you that big change. Now, I haven't driven hard one time and then twisted it all the way up and then driven hard another time to see what it would actually do. So maybe that's just my lack of really trying to see the difference in more of a testing atmosphere. But I figured that I would feel more of I would notice more of a difference between, especially when it has 16-way adjustable. You have 16 different adjustments. You'd figure you'd see quite a big difference between it, but maybe I'm mistaken. Now, as far as the comparison between stock and these coilovers, I honestly don't feel a huge difference. Now, this is an STI, so I know that they set up their strut from the factory a little more aggressively than they would if it was like a base model Impreza or a WRX, because this is built more for speed and racing than opposed to just the daily driver that some of you guys may be putting this coilover on. So as far as STI replacement, not a huge difference. I think it's pretty much the same quality whether it's stock or this. Now, as far as adjustment goes, the only complaint I have is the collars tend to come loose. Although it seems that I have resolved that issue now, because when I first started driving them, I wrenched on them pretty good to tighten everything up and make sure that nothing was going to move. But I had a couple instances where they would come loose, and you could actually, when you're moving the wheel up and down, you can actually feel it moving the wheel up and down and actually becoming loose to where it felt unstable. Not necessarily on the road, you may feel a little bit of it if you're driving hard, but the fact that those collars are coming loose for the ride height setting is not a good thing at all. And the crush washer actually ripped on one of them, and now it just doesn't really tighten the right way. I'm constantly going back in there and tightening it back up. That would be pretty much my only complaint with that. As far as my overall rating towards this coilover, I would definitely give it a pretty high score, maybe like an 8 out of 10, just because of how easy it was to install, the customer service, just taking everything into account with the pros and the cons. I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and with an $800 coilover, you know, you get what you pay for. I'm not going out here buying $1,200 or more coilovers to get this thing to be a true race car or anything. These aren't meant for that. So as far as what they were designed for, I think they are on top of their game, and they definitely did an amazing job with hitting it on the nose with quality, with a good balance of quality for the price that it is. I think they did an excellent job. So that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you guys liked the review and got a lot of information out of it and can help you make a decision whether you do or don't like these coilovers and can put them on your car. Always ask questions, we like to answer them. Anything that you guys need, like and subscribe to the channel if you like the content that we're putting out, because we are gonna be putting out a lot more of the 370Z, the STI, and the Volvo. So stay tuned with us, keep up with it, and I'll see you on the next one.